Hopefully that's good. All right. Welcome, everybody. This is our latest GEM series presentation. This one is going to be on a little bit of show and tell from participants here, along with, we're going to try and see if we can get through 30 tips and tricks in 30 minutes. And it's just a free flow for tonight because unfortunately we had to postpone the original presentation for tonight. We had to postpone it for a week due to a conflict. So we threw this together as a filler. Hopefully it's still good. Off the top here, as of the 22nd, Xlights around the world is open voting for the song choices for this year. If you're not familiar with Xlights around the world, it is a fun little program, if you want to call it, fun little event where they provide 2 free sequences, both a Christmas and a non-Christmas sequence, and you can put it on your display when your lights are set up for Christmas. Film it with a phone, doesn't have to be anything fancy, and submit them sometime in the week before, 2 weeks before Christmas. Submit them into the website. They put it all into one big video clip and post it on YouTube, and everybody can say, that's my house, in amongst the hundreds of submissions. Last year they had 600 plus, something like that. I'm sure they'll get even more this year. So the voting is open now. If you go to votes, and I'll just type it in here. If you go, xlightsaroundtheworld.com is the website for it. But if you go to vote.xlightsaroundtheworld.com, it brings you into the voting screen. You can go through the process of voting for the one of, I think it's 5 choices for the Christmas song and one of 5 choices for the non-Christmas song. You can film both. Usually they just want you to submit one of the 2. You choose which one of the 2 you'd like to submit, because otherwise there's way too much work for Jordan to put the sequence together. I believe it says here, the winning song voting deadline is August 28th. There will be an announcement on the 31st. I'm guessing that's a Wednesday, but I could be wrong. Yeah, it is a Wednesday. So come back here probably next Wednesday. They will have I'm sure they'll take over a few minutes to provide the announcement of the winning song. So that's the first thing we'll go through. I'd like to just recap as well. The Xlights Gem that was supposed to be tonight is being postponed to the 31st. So it's on the 31st. That's Making Sequences Sings by David Robinson. And then Wednesday, September 7th, we're going to have David Peace in to talk about GPIO pins and the unique things you can do to make interactive displays or interactive props for your display. He's from Xlights or Experience Lighting. I'm not sure. I apologize if I got the name wrong. So that's it for announcements. We're just going to turn it over to a few folks that we're going to demonstrate some props, and feel free to throw your hand up. We'll get to you if you want to do a screen share. If you've got either some photos of props you've built, or even if you've got a model or a layout or something you'd like to showcase, even if it's a purchased prop you've painted perhaps, or something that maybe we haven't seen, feel free to open up your put your hand up there. We'll get to you, and just nothing fancy, just do a screen share just like you would in the Zoom room. Ron, I'll pass it over to you. You had the first call, so I think I'm going to do a stop share, and then Ron can grab it.
All right, thank you very much, Daryl. So for those who don't know, my name is Ron Armstrong, and I'm an active Zoom room helper in here quite frequently. Recognize many familiar names in here right now. Been working with animated lighting about 4 years or so, and this is the first year I'm getting involved in a Halloween project. So a family member hosts a big Halloween show every year, so I got to thinking, hey, it'd be kind of cool to bring some of the lighting and stuff into Halloween. So first year doing Halloween, threw together kind of a quick little layout with a bunch of props, no outlines or anything at this point. But since it's at a party, it's not really going to be a scheduled show. So I was kind of thinking, how can we, trigger and basically control the show more manually, so to speak, right? This fuzzy dot in the middle, by the way, for those interested, will be a fog machine. So it'll be a fog machine kind of back in behind these as we do our sequencing. So
Ron, you're not sharing, I don't think. At least I'm not seeing it.
not sharing yet. That's correct. Sorry. Thank you. Thank you. Now we're sharing probably. Anyway, cool.
Yep.
So this is just a layout of some models I collected to put this together. So it's not going to be on a building, actually be in a tree line, kind of up on the side of the driveway where we're hosting this Halloween party. Probably be 70 or 80 people at the party, whatever. So without having like just a scheduled show like we normally do, that just schedules and plays, where I wanted to bring some interactivity to it. So started on that interactivity path, kind of tying right into what Dave will be presenting on in a couple of weeks. So come back for that to get more detail. So I got to thinking about these little RF controlled relays, found this on Amazon. So this happens to be a little, and we'll do a demo here as well, a little 4-channel RF relay board with these little key fobs that I'm going to use this to trigger input buttons. This was on the Amazon find. I can't remember, 20-25 bucks, somewhere in that neighborhood, not terribly expensive. The wiring diagram is basically just 12 volt in to power it up. And then you have 4 relays. And so basically 4 triggers for A, B, C, and D when you push the button. This is kind of how I've got set up on my test bench. So those of you familiar would recognize it's a Pi 4 over here, and an Xlights Pi input output hat, topped with a Falcon Pi cap, hanging out here driving a set of pixels. So these are stackable, the input. And here's my little relay board and little key fob. So you can get an idea of how big this relay board is. Very small, very easy to tuck in an enclosure. And I just got the outputs wired into outputs 1, 3, 4, and 5. Is what I chose to wire into. So when I push A, 1 will input, push B, 3 will input, push C, 4, and D, 5. For those super interested on this first revision of the input boards, input 2 happens to be GPIO 18, which is the same as the pixel output uses for port 1 on the Pi hat. So if you're using a Pi hat also, you can't use this pin 2. That is not a problem on the in and out board, but on the first generation input board, if you couple it with a Pi hat, I would recommend not using 2. That's why I skipped 2. Anywho, I'm going to hide my Zoom bar here because it's kind of in my way. So this Pi that's represented here is what I call test Pi 3. This is set up as a remote in my current setup I've got going here. And to get this configured is just a simple in the GPIO inputs. That input 1 on the Xlights input hat is a pin 11 or GPIO 17. And so on 17, I do a pull down to set the pin to 0 voltage. So when I trigger the relay, it'll apply positive voltage, which would be a rising edge command. When you go from 0 voltage to positive voltage, that's rising. When you go to positive voltage to 0 voltage, that would be falling edge. So in this case, I don't want to do anything on this remote. So I'm doing a remote trigger, a command preset in an FPP to this IP address, which is my master player. And I set up a command preset. I just arbitrarily chose slot 17 because that's representative of GPIO 17. So that would be my A button. So A button is, it would run this command preset number 17. When I push the B button, run command preset number 18 or 27. Sorry, I set that as 27. So what does that do? Cool. Here's my master player. This is the status control command presets, which I've got several for the different things. But I've got this, I called it insert song. So basically start playlist. This is number 17. It just says start playlist. In this case, the playlist name is called new. You just got a new playlist. And then the B button, which would be 27, is basically a stop now. So when you hit the A button, it starts a playlist. When I hit B, it stops right away. Some of the things I plan to do is have a playlist scheduled. So like we'll have one button that'll be start the playlist. And then I want to have another button that's going to call a script to just do a random sequence. So say throughout the night, we'll have like some background effects going on and just have like some background Halloween sounds and nothing really playing as we're having the party. But then occasionally you can just hit another button, maybe the C button, and it'll just play a random sequence for the duration of that sequence. And you can do that throughout the night. That way people can still interact and have a good time with the party and not just sit there and watch the show all night. That's the thought process of this unique method of bringing interactivity and these RF key fobs to control the show. I'm just going to the status page here real quick, so you can kind of see it in here. I don't have my camera set up to really watch it, but I'm going to push the A button on my RF remote. So as soon as I push the A button, lo and behold, the sequence starts playing. This just happens to be a 30-second sequence of, you guessed it, all butterfly. Imagine that. Super creative right now, right? So as that's playing like 12 seconds in, I can push the B button and that'll trigger an all stop and just stop the entire sequence. So what you're not really seeing is when I play that sequence, it's actually outputting to several different controllers with different amount of pixels and stuff on multiple controllers. So I'm using an FPP remote with GPIO inputs with an RF key fob to trigger an entire show for an entire display. So that's kind of the unique little show and tell thing I'm doing for this particular project. I know it's kind of quick and fast, but that's the intent. Going to quick little second piece on my tombstones. I did paint my tombstones with a Rust-Oleum stone paint, not very cheap, $13 to $16 a can, depending on where you get it. But trying to bring this stone look to the tombstone. So that's just another unique thing I did with painted prop there. We got some other props for painting pumpkins and stuff too, but I don't have those done yet. So cool. Anybody got any immediate questions or?
What kind of range on that key fob do you get?
I don't know for sure yet, but I can go outside the house and across the street and it still triggers. So it's 433 megahertz on this particular one I got. And off of Amazon, somebody in chat, Padre shared Amazon. Oh, that's probably the one that we see, and that I got Padre shared a link to it. So I don't know the total range, but I know I can go across the street outside of my house and it still triggers pretty okay.
All right, we're looking for Tim. Is he out there still? You can share his video.
I'm still here.
Can you share your video again? Tim was on earlier today and he was hard at work pushing pixels, and he's got quite a little unique apparatus. Maybe not so unique, but certainly a little, something worth seeing for sure.
So I had went on Amazon and I bought this little gadget right here. I think I'm sharing, right? Or am I not?
Yes, we see it, Tim.
Yep.
So I bought this thing. It was $138 when I bought it. So, and then since then, Miner Mendoza, he sells it also. But his does it a little differently than mine. His actually, this is the video to his, and you can see how his pushes the pixel down where mine's going to push it up. And I'll show you how mine does it. So depending on how you guys want to do it, how you feel comfortable. I don't like it that way. I like my setup better. So I'll show you my video of how I do it.
And Tim, you were saying you 3D printed this base piece. Is that what you did?
Yes, I did. And
if you take a moment, Tim, could you just show us those pixels? These are the new pixels. And if you know a little bit of history, go ahead and tell us.
okay. These are a different type of pixel. I try to get it in the camera right. They got the little ears here on the side. They're the Pix Plus pixels. So you can put a zip tie through there and do stuff. And then I had a friend of mine design this so that the little ears can slip in there. Was that what you were asking for, Daryl?
Yeah, it's just they're a unique design that was just came about this year, this summer. They were they demoed them last fall, but they're just coming out now, I guess.
So yeah, I've pushed. I can push. I think I pushed. What was it? Probably about 800 pixels today in a matter of like 5 hours. And my fingers love it because they're not bruised or blistered or anything. So
And is that the Pascoyo strip, or is that a different one with the 3?
it's your pixel store.
Your
Strip.
Pixel Store version. Okay. Yeah.
Yep.
Cool. All right. Thanks, Tim.
You're welcome.
Jacob, are you hiding out there? Can we get you to come on camera for a second? Or did he dodge us?
Yes, sir.
Oh, cool.
Oh,
I think, can we remove the spotlight to, did I do that? Okay, where's Jacob?
Yeah,
Jacob.
So I did that earlier when you
I
started.
need to turn the camera on, don't I?
Yeah. There's Jacob. Yeah, just do us a little walkabout. You showed us a couple props there earlier today. You got the star, the scorpion, and a flake. Oh,
Yeah,
you got a whole kit and caboodle here.
Oh, I got a kit and caboodle. Pretty much everything I have is made by Mr. Elliott with EFL Designs. Today's delivery was 2 5-layer stars, 2 showstopper snowflakes, the scorpion, and his new Wreath 600.
The scorpion I see's got lines on it. Is that you doing that, or is that coming from Jackie that way?
That's Jackie does that. You can actually order. He's got some of his stuff. He'll trace it, and he'll give you your starting point with an arrow. And every 25 pixels, he puts a circle.
Gotcha. Nice.
And showstopper. And this gives you a reference of how tall they actually are.
So that's the one he did a collaboration with Showstopper Sequences.
Yeah.
Obviously, they included it in their sequences.
He's offering that with it as well.
Right. And now you were mentioning this today. You went and got some tape because it
Yeah,
comes
I put
slit, right?
Gorilla duct tape on the back for the slit because of shipping. And then, let's see, which ones are they? I think this is them. Then he also sends these, and they're zip tie holes. These holes are bigger than the pixels that give it stability since he had to slit them.
So I have the same snowflake. It comes with the centerpiece, and it also comes with the 2 side pieces.
Yeah, they are.
For the slips. Yep.
I'm trying to find, I think this is them.
Yep.
Those 2 pieces you notice the holes are a lot bigger, so a pixel, you can double stack the pixel.
And also Jackie has STL files for 3D printed mounting for that snowflake.
Oh, he does have STLs for the mounting for this?
Yep. There's actually 8 pieces, 4 go in the middle and 4 go on the outside. They
Okay.
fit 1/2 inch conduit, so you can mount it that way as well.
Now his 5-layer star, if you notice there's a thick piece here, it pushes through the star. So you can put your conduit on the back. And it's got 2 spacer plates that you fasten inside of it. And I'll tell you, it's really sturdy. I've got one of these stars that stayed on one of my trees all summer. It's still up there. It hasn't warped. It hasn't done anything.
Ziggy comments that you really want to look at the wiring diagram on the showstopper flake. It's confusing, he said. So I'm assuming there's no wiring diagram on the back there, is there? Like you showed us in the first prop, or is there? Oh, it is. Okay.
You can get with or without.
Yeah,
Okay.
the duct tape probably covered up the first, but I'll figure it out. There'll be one somewhere with an arrow starting. And then from that point, you just go forward. And I think it was somewhere right down here. But I put the tape on there just for extra to seal that back crack.
Yep.
So it doesn't.
Some people mention gluing it. I've always just heard tape, but I can't imagine gluing it makes anything better. But you know, everybody's got their own way of doing it.
I just use Gorilla Tape.
Yeah.
Let's see. Is EFL flake the 46-inch?
Mm-hmm.
So that gives you an idea. That's the actual size of it. I'm 6 foot tall, so that tells you how tall it is.
A lot of people got to consider when they buy these props, the weight of the prop plus all the pixels, and got to keep in mind, how are you going to mount it on your house?
Oh yeah,
It's easy to put it on your layout. It's another thing to think of a good way to securely keep it on your house.
I mean, the weight of this right now is about maybe 5 pounds. I think it's about 5 pounds per 100 on the pixels, maybe a little bit more.
Yeah, and that showstopper snowflake as an example is like 750 pixels.
Yeah, it's
So
750.
it's going to be.
Now, I got 2 of the EFL flakes, and this is Jackie's new Wreath 600 pixels.
Yikes.
That one's going to be heavy.
Burris, when you have time to punch all those?
I'm going to have to quit my job.
Yeah, I think so.
So what would you use to hang them off your house?
I don't have a house. I do a show that's out in the yard. My show is approximately 80 feet deep by 140 feet wide. And most of my stuff I stand up on 3/4 and 1 inch EMT in the yard. So like on the showstopper here, what I'll probably end up doing is there's some blank spaces in it that I can actually put standoffs. So you got some big areas here, like here. In these areas, I can put standoffs that stand back about 3 inches so the wires won't be in the way, and do uprights to support it off the ground straight up. What else we got of Jackie's? This came earlier this year. I know everybody's seen this one already.
Waving arm teddy bear. Yep. Definitely watch for Jackie's how-to videos for doing states and such, and how to make the arms move. It's pretty impressive.
And I know pretty much probably everybody that was in the room saw Jackie's Halo wings.
Oh yes, the Halloween wings. Yep. All right, Jacob, thanks. We're gonna keep moving along. Thank you for that.
Thank you.
Alex, do you want to quick pop in here? You said you wanted to show how you mounted yours. So I'm just going to push Paul T just out a second. If Alex is ready to just quickly show us his mounting tips.
Daryl, if you want to see the 3D mountings on the showstopper Sulfake, I have it too.
Sure. So let me see. How do I video now?
Alex, you got video? Is that what you're doing?
Yeah, there. Well, actually, I'm gonna show you,
Oh,
right?
Yep. And I think there we go. We got you pinned.
Yep.
There you go.
So So actually, what I do, I did this year for 4th of July on all of them. I put EMT bars on all of them with cowboys. I guess they're pulling 2 side by side. right? This is Jackie's tree. This is the showstopper snowflake. And I have rebars right in the ground. All of my candy canes and surround trees. So everything's already mounted. I just hammer in the rebar and just slide them right in, and they're done. Makes putting them up and taking them off so much easier.
Can you give a little close up on how you did those hangers, the cowboy?
Yeah.
hangers?
So here, yep. So here's the showstopper one. So I think you're talking about that before. So what I did actually initially, let me see. Actually, I changed them all of them. Looks like because I was running out of them. So I put a screw with the washer in the front, a bolt, right? A cowboy. See it right here.
Yes.
And then I got like a regular pipe hanger, right? Like it's just a small thing that I straighten out and I just screw them together.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, that gives you a little bit more extra.
Yeah,
standoff.
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. I used to put two cowboys back to back, so this was even further apart. But then I was using way too many of them, so I just went in and I'll show you here. Right,
Hey,
so
Alex,
this is
that a 2-hole strap is what you're using on top of that mineralite strap?
sorry.
The one you call a cowboy, that's
It's
what in
yes,
electrical
it's
called
yeah, it's this. Yeah.
yeah, mineralite strap.
So,
Yeah, are you using a 2-hole
Alex, did
strap and
you,
just bending it around?
So I did. So this is it. Just screwed right through the EMT, right, just like that.
Right.
And then I took one of those the pipe hangers. I straighten it out, and I put this one around the EMT, so it makes a nice.
Okay, you take a 2-hole strap and straighten it out. Okay.
Yeah. There you go. So that
now the,
I can really keep my.
Alex, is the reason you're adding that 2-hole strap because it needs to be farther away so you can get at the pixels? Or could
No,
you
so
just go-
the cowboy keeps it further away, right? So I
Yeah.
need something to hang it from this other side. So I'm using this to do that. I used to
Okay.
use a cowboy the other way, right? So I used to have one this way
Uh-huh.
and one this way,
Right.
connected in the middle. But then I was using too many of these, right? So these are more expensive. So then I found just a little, pipe wrappers, things, whatever. So I straighten them out, right? They they're like a little, the way they come. I straighten them out like this. Sorry, I'm trying to hold my phone with
It's
well,
fine.
you could see it in here, right? The way I put it right through, and then I screw this one right in. And they're permanently mounted. So on the showstopper, I have two, one on the top, one on the bottom, permanently mounted on all of them. I drive in 2-foot rebar in, I slide them in, and they're done. The installation, it's so much faster, taking in and taking out.
And those are just typical Home Depot type purchases, right?
Yep,
What
totally.
size EMT are you using?
Half an inch. Half inch.
All right,
And
thanks,
with,
Alex.
And with the
We're-
props that have, it looks like they have a single pole in the back of them. How are you going to keep the wind from spinning in them?
Yep, great question. So actually, what I have, I don't know if you could see mine still. They're actually a little bit longer, right? So they're not, they're longer than the prop itself. Right, you can see that. And I just like smack it into the ground a little bit. So the rebar goes in, and I just put it a little bit in the ground, and it doesn't move.
Got it.
I've had the same issue. I ended up doing a 3/4 conduit on the back of the prop, 1/2 inch in the ground, and then I put a self tapper through the two of them.
All right, we can continue the discussion. Martin's going to get his video up. I think he wanted to quickly show his mounting stuff too. Martin? Yep.
I think you muted Martin.
So this is the showstopper with the 3D mounts. And I'm gonna hang it. And on the sides, I'm doing clips
And the 3D mounts are available for free, or did you purchase them? Did you make them, design them? What's that? I think we lost him.
Jackie has STL files.
All right, cool.
Yep.
Sounds good. Everybody wants to show the mounts. Paul T is up next. Paul, are you ready? We're going to go to you, and then I see Tim wants to pop in after Paul, I guess.
I got no issues doing a pass completely.
No, come on, Paul.
All right. So like everybody else in this hobby, I've got a pair of the EFL wings, right? So I think some of you guys have seen how I mounted them, but I figured I'd show it up here, make people's life a little easier.
Perfect.
So what I did was I didn't come up with this idea on my own. I stole it off somebody else on Facebook, but apparently for whatever reason, I'm being given credit. So, but what I did is essentially get a TV stand off Amazon. This thing rolls. I can put it wherever I want. It's got 2 locking wheels. This is really going to be the key because I got to drag this thing out when I want to put it out. And it does raise. Right now I've got it pretty much at the lowest spot. So you can kind of see how much height it's got. It'll go, to well above. It'll put this stand roughly the middle of my head, and I'm 6'2", so it's plenty of height for folks. As far as mounting, it's just a TV stand, so you can see the TV brackets for the Visa mounts. I've seen another way to do this on Facebook that's probably a little bit better, but I got just a piece of 3/4 inch plywood and mounted some EMT to that and screwed the plywood to the TV mounts, and this just hangs on top of this. It disassembles in a matter of seconds. I do wish I would have mounted these much like Alex showed. Would have been much easier on my fingers getting things behind in this small little area. But what I did was I used the same little brackets he was talking about. Wasn't smart enough to get a bolt, so I just put a piece of wood back there to give me some spacing. That would have made my life a lot easier though. The stand is nothing fancy over here, just a little box basically. I do have a hole in the back where I can get into it and work on whatever I need. And this stuff is running directly off of a Pi. There's no cape. Essentially got 5 GPIO inputs coming off of these, which is similar to what Ron showed a minute ago. And I've got 2 outputs, 1 for each wing, and I'm running the DPI Pixels firmware so that I can use both the GPIO inputs and pixel outputs. And to ensure I've got enough signal to get from the Pi to the wings, I've got F-amps directly on the GPIO outputs for data, which is what you see here, 2 of those. And I've got no issues powering this off of 350 watt Meanwell. And each wing has 1 running 30%, 12 volt. And I did balance the power, so I've essentially got a wire running from like pixel 1 through probably about 300 or so to keep power spread across the whole thing, and it works fine at full white.
Great. Any questions for Paul?
Nice, Paul. Looks really good, man. I like that.
That's good. Yeah, almost. I'm tempted. Very tempted. Passing it over to Tim again. Tim wanted to show his mounting system.
Before you
I'm thinking about using the Jackie's new Hallow wings
Paul's
for prop 2, right? So yeah,
that would have been easy to substitute, right? If I would have just mounted on piece of plywood, I can just hang it on my mount, right?
Yep. Sorry to interrupt. Go ahead.
And just to give back to the showstopper with all the pixels, it's roughly just a touch over 20 pounds. It's 9.2 kilos.
Let's give Paul one more clip here because I see a tune jukebox, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, that thing was a bit of a pain to push. A lot more pixels than I was expecting. Apparently, my eyes were bigger than my fingers, but
700 pixels in that guy.
Yeah,
and you didn't paint it at all or anything, huh? Okay.
Nope, laziness for the win. It is labeled on the back, so you can see the line still through the pixels, so I didn't have to do any thought. And I've also got this cool little guy, 3D printer.
Oh yeah.
No matter which way, it looks like it's looking at you. It's still pretty rough shape, as you can see, but also like half of other Jackie stuff. It's labeled so you can see the white outlines.
Is that a sneak preview or is that out?
I don't know.
All right.
He's talked about it, but yeah.
Okay.
I think that's a sneak preview because it's not out.
Well, I thought he put a video out.
Yeah, he has announced that it's coming out, but he's still, yeah, it's not on the shop yet that I see. Because I
Well,
was
right,
going to get one.
Keep your eyes open. It's one of the few things that said my kid, who is a teenager, said, "Oh, that's cool." That's all.
Oh, you just emptied my pockets even more.
All right. Let's go back to Tim then. Tim had something.
Okay, so still on the mounting bracket, you can see here, this is the EFL pixel pole, and I've got the mount here, that's the cowboy, and this is basically all it is right here on the setup. And in between this washer and the head of the bolt is where the coral goes. And then the EMT goes right here.
And just using a longer threaded bolt to create that space away from the wiring. Nice.
This is 2 inches right here. And then I painted the head to match the coral.
Right.
That's all I have.
Cool. And just a quick thing we came across today. I don't know if it's new or not, but Boscoyo's got a new, they don't call it a spooky tree, do they? They call it an eerie tree, which is kind of in something unique they're doing, I guess. Has 4 different inserts that you can buy 1, 2, 3, 4, or none, I suppose. We thought that was kind of interesting. I don't know if anybody knows, is this really new or did we just happen to stumble on it? I'm not sure.
It is pretty new. James was in here. We talked a little bit about it last night.
Oh, okay.
They just put it on their website like 2 days ago.
All right, so it is new. All right. So I'm not stupid. And then we looked at this like, wow, okay, it comes with some assembly required, but everything looks like it's nicely labeled. One of the big things in any of these props is how are you going to keep it upright, and you have to need a little bit of an engineering degree to figure out, you're going to run pipes up it, or you're going to do off brackets, whatever. So make sure that you've got some DIY skills if you're going to purchase props like these. Any of the props we were already shown tonight, they all require some DIY skills for sure. Yeah. Anybody else? Feel free. Any hands up? Anybody else want to show and tell? Anybody got something they want to?
Do have another sneak peek EFL prop that's not really ready for camera action.
Oh, well,
I think I got a model I might be able to show.
Careful now.
Yeah, I won't do that. But anyway, I'll just discuss. So 8 foot tall lamppost with a bow and a ribbon spiral. So it's a Coro prop that's 8 foot tall by roughly 18 or 20 inches wide. And it's like a lamp post, old school lamp post. Pretty awesome prop. It will be on the site coming soon. Yeah, Jacob.
On the waiting list for that one.
Yep.
All right. Are we gonna go 30 tips in 30 minutes? Are we game for that, guys? Do you think we can do it? And I just put a bunch in here. If you guys want to add more to the list, feel free. But here we go. Nothing fancy here. I think a lot of these things we see on a everyday basis in the Zoom room. So I just wanted to bring them up here and blast through them. So here we go. Let's see if we can get through them. One of the common ones we see, Control Shift left arrow will take your effect to the next timing track. So if you turn off the timing track, you can go Control Shift left arrow, right arrow will make an effect go from one side to the other. Now I might need some help on some of these. There was one where you could group effects and move them all in one, so you can highlight them all. You can move them all in one. Is it cursor key?
You're not sharing, buddy.
Are you supposed to be sharing, Daryl?
I am. I'm supposed to be. How come I'm not sharing? Because I'm dumb.
Yeah.
There you go.
Newbie.
I know.
The same effect earlier.
All right. So here we go. You can click on an effect, You can do control left, control right, control shift will expand to the right, and control shift left expands it to the left. You can group together props, and you can hold the control key and click the first one again, and you can move them as a group, right? We've seen these before, but we're going to go through them all.
Is that why you'll have to hold the control key? Is that correct?
Yes, hold the control key. Don't play. Light them up, and then once they're all lit, you can move them as a group.
Nice.
If you lasso them, it'll be the top effect when you right click. Alignment, you can say align the end times, for example. It's going to align it to the top effect. If you control click them through, it'll be the last one. You notice the color is slightly different. You can right click, align the end times. It's going to align to the last one you click. So slightly different. Bulk effects, almost anything, bulk edit, almost anything can be done in bulk edit as long as you've chosen more than one effect. So I've got 2 butterfly effects. Almost every property around here can be bulk edit changed. Let's say, for example, I want to bulk edit the fade in. I would right click on the drop down, bulk edit shows up, and you can choose it, and it changes everything for those 2 effects. If I want to change the render style, right click, bulk edit, make it per preview. So bulk edit is your friend. It's everywhere, but you have to have more than 2 effects chosen.
Can you bulk change colors?
Bulk change colors is a little bit unique because you got to be careful. There is no bulk edit color this way. If you click update, that will change all of the colors to not only the colors, but also the ones that are enabled. So they'll make both of these white and red checkboxes. There is a new way to bulk edit colors, and I know somewhere in edit, color replace. So you can change all of your red effects to a different color, for example. So that will literally go through all of the places in your color palette where red is chosen, and it'll make that color change. So you could do a wholesale change of all your reds to a different shade of red, for example. It does have the option to say just the selected effects. So that's another way to do it.
Cool.
But that's a newer feature that was added. One thing that we came up with today that I thought was kind of worth showcasing is a text effect. Let me scroll down. I did put it in here somewhere, unless I shot it to the right. Where did I put it? Oh, here it is. Text effect. There's a couple of hidden things you can type in there. $song, $artist. I think there's also something like $name, which is the file name. I just did a typo, but let me go back. $name. And that will pull the name of the song, the artist, and the file name from the MP3 and the tags, but you can override them by going into your metadata and updating the tags here.
Yeah, you can select any of them in here. So you can put Arthur, album.
Author. Oh, so down here you put in author, etc. Is that what you're saying, Scott?
Yeah, I put all those in.
Okay, cool. So it's author. I don't know if you want email website, but you can. Or maybe you don't have to put email. It could be anything you want to put in there. Happy holidays or some message, I guess, if you want. Scott, since you're here, what does this do? Overwrite meta tags. Does that write the file, write it back to the MP3?
I've never seen that option before.
You plead ignorance, plead the fifth on that one. Well, I don't know what it is. I haven't verified it, but I did see it there. Show folders. I just want to, it's a tip here. Keep it simple. Keep it someplace that you can find it and not overwrite it, delete it, remove it. Keep it, short and sweet, but make it obvious so that you know what you're doing. A tip about saving your sequence. Save your sequences. Again, keep it simple. Letters only, ideally. You can use minus signs, I think, but do not use like single quotes. Don't use quotes. Don't use ampersands. Try not to use brackets, although I think that's acceptable. I think those 3 are the main ones you want to stay away from. And different versions of that single quote. There is like a back tilde you see in the word like don't, or don't with, like this back quote. Do not use any of those things. It's going to mess you up. You're going to wish you'll be wondering why things aren't working. So that's another tip. Layouts. I mentioned this last week. When you're laying out, you want to lay out all of your props from left to right. Oh, so that's an easy one. So left to right. and bottom to top. More importantly is left to right. Bottom to top is really a convention, but you really want to stay with left to right no matter what. If you need to say where the controller is being, maybe you say, oh, but it's connecting over here on the controller. That's fine. You just do that over on the controller connection property. I don't think it'd be like starting, there'd be like a starting location, or in this case, that one starting location is the blue square, which is this guy over here. So just a tip for that. Groups. When you make a group up here in the layouts, groups, everything, hopefully I didn't break my own rules, but when you group stuff, group the props, not the groups themselves. You notice the groups are probably blue. So you want to include just the props themselves. You can. Don't group the groups. It's not going to break anything. It just may render differently than what the sequencer intended. It just has a different way of rendering. So that's the fear there. Preferences. I've got something under preferences I wanted to highlight. I apologize, I'm jumping all over the place, but I'm just like throwing things out at you for different tools and tips. Backup on launch, probably a really good thing to have. Every time you start up Xlights, it's going to back up all of your sequences and your layout, and it's going to store it in ideally your show folder. In my case, I store it on a different drive, so I have it overwritten, but by default, it stores it in your show folder. So you want to keep that. Every once in a while, you want to back it up yourself using Windows Explorer or File Explorer or Mac or whatever, where you maybe copy it off to a USB stick or something like that. Another one on the preferences was, there's the one for shift double click, and I'll show you what that means. Where is that? Other? Sorry. There's one for
I think it's, is it on?
you?
I think it's effects grid.
Effects grid, thank you. Double click. Double click mode is either play timing or edit the text. So just want to, usually I leave it at play timing, but just so you know what that does, if you double click on this lyric line, it's, since I had it set to play timing, it's going to play the song right now, right? Then people often post on Facebook or whatever saying, I can't edit this. Well, the trick now is to press shift, double click, and now you can edit the label. So that's just a quick convention, shift double click, or and depending on how you have set the preferences. So that's that one. This one's a little more complicated, but master view is literally going to have all of your props basically in the order that you added it to your layout, which is not necessarily what you want to see here. You want to have it sorted in a proper, you know, your bigger groups at the top, working all the way down to the models. That's a whole video and a whole session all in itself. But I did want to highlight that once you come up with a sorted version, so for me, I have an ordered version that has everything in the right order. I just wanted to highlight the fact that there's a file and preferences, and it is under sequences right here. So every time you create a new sequence, you're just about to import a sequence you purchased, it'll start in the right order, right off the get-go. When you open a new sequence, it'll start it in my ordered master list every time, so that you don't have to worry about your groups not being in the right order and the rendering all messing up. So take advantage of that default view for new sequences. That's been around for a little while as well. I'm not sharing the audio, and maybe that's a good thing, but oh, I am sharing the audio. Sorry to hear that, guys. If you hold the control key down and you click here, you can scrub through the music and you can see the effects as they're playing. Say you're looking at something in your house preview. And I don't know if I got anything here to really see, but we'll try it. Say you're looking for something weird that's happening in your display. You can't quite find it. You can use this scrub feature to go through your sequence. Reset. Here we go. And find out where it's happening. It's a little easier than pressing play, pause, play, pause. So that's using the control key and the cursor. What I just did there, right click reset to reset your display, your layout. If you're having issues like that, sometimes people get all confused in 3D and they're like, I can't find out where I got to go. Right click reset is your savior there. Another thing that's common is windows disappear. So say you're coming in here and you're missing your windows and you can't get things figured out. That is under View, Windows, Reset to Defaults. Get you back to where you want it to be, where everything is set up. Everything is back in view, in the proper view. Then you can easily move things around as you need to, as you like to set them up. But if windows disappear, View, Reset Windows is your answer to getting things back. So at least you can move them around.
Hey, Daryl.
Yep.
Mr. Orlean D said in chat that he raised his hand to show you some of his props that he's painted. So
Okay.
you want to pause your timer and
Well, let's finish me.
Yeah,
I'm halfway through.
Yes, I can wait.
okay.
All right. Another thing, real obvious, check sequence. Always look at check sequence. I know it's getting really verbose here. There are some things that we immediately say, oh, ignore, ignore, ignore. Like, for example, I know what all this means, so I just ignore it. But you also want to look at looking for any errors. If you need help with interpreting any of your check sequences, pop in the Zoom room. We love to look through that stuff and help you figure things out. Another thing on large custom models with all these high definition props and such, going into your layout, I'm going to pull up a custom prop. Let's say it's this 3D cube. Might not happen in this one, but you'll see in your check sequence, it talks about your custom model is too large. It's going to take too long to render. A lot of times it's just a matter of going into your model data, clicking the triple dots, bring it into here. Again, it won't make much sense on this one, but there's right click, shrink space. And what that's going to do is try to reduce the total width, height, and depth. Usually it's just in a 2D, so it's normally just the width and height. Tries to reduce it so that the grid, the render buffer, is not so large and doesn't take so much time in memory. And it can speed up your render times without really impacting anything on your sequences. So if you've got some of these props that are warning you on the check sequence, it's just a matter of coming in here and do a shrink space. No harm. You do a shrink space, take a visual check of the model, make sure it hasn't been distorted or anything weird. If it's all good, just go ahead and click OK. If it's messed up, feel free, just go cancel, and it's going to abandon your changes. So there's a quick tip when you see large models where it's complaining about in the check sequence. A quick tip on ordering of props in your group. So if I've got a group of, what do I got? That's something obvious here. Floods are pretty easy. Try to order them in something that makes sense. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Maybe it's left to right across your display, so that when you play sequences and you're expecting things to move across your house in a left to right fashion, chances are it will, if you've named them correctly and you've named them in order, left to right, maybe your arches, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, etc. Keep them all in some sense of order. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And if they're in the wrong order, it's really just a matter of moving it up or down and getting them in the right order. So take a moment to look back through your groups, make sure they're all in the right order. It's going to make your sequences look a little better. Next tip, make use of presets. So if you found something that works for you and you want to use it on other sequences, for example, this text effect here that's going to play the author and the song, maybe I want to use that in other sequences. Rather than having to remember all of these settings, you can say right click, effect presets. I like to keep them grouped. And in this maybe I don't have one here, but do I have something for matrix, for example? I'm not gonna, let's just say I don't have it here. So I'm gonna say new group, add a group, I'm gonna call it matrix effects. And then for right here, I'm gonna say add a new preset. And I'm gonna say scrolling, music, artist, and song. So now I can come in here and drop that into any other sequence, and it's going to save me the hassle of having to remember all of these details that I had to create this effect. Hopefully it's going to work. Come on, it's finishing. It's thinking really hard. Oh, there we go. Click OK. All right, 20 down, 10 to go. Make use of presets. I just did that one. All right, save import maps. When you are importing a sequence, especially if you're buying a sequence from a common vendor that you know you're going to go back again and again, you'd want to map your sequences. And I just chose this one. So let's say I map it. But go ahead and save that mapping. It does nothing other than store the fact that you dragged it from here to here. It doesn't know what's in the sequence. It just pre-creates you doing this action of dropping it in here. So next time you pull it in for a different vendor, you don't have to remember, oh, I mapped this to the super tree. I moved this to the bulbs. You can just load the mapping in and it'll have all of those done for you. So take advantage of that, especially if you're using the same vendor multiple times. Another one here. Another common question we get is, how come I can't lasso these effects? You know, I was able to do it yesterday. Did I break something? Xlights is broken. No, it's as simple as unchecking the timing track. If you don't have a timing track selected, you can lasso effects to move them. So just remember to uncheck the timing track. Controllers tab, something we go through with everybody. Now with the way Xlights is improved and evolved, the controllers, once they know what kind of controller you have, it can make a lot of things default. It knows how many ports you have. So be sure and go through the model, the vendor, the model, and variant. Make sure you've got those all set up. Then you'll be ready to go with the visualizer. I think by default, it now leaves these 3 checkboxes for you. So if not, check those 3 boxes. If you have an FPP-based device, like a Falcon Cap or such, they will have 4 checkboxes. Contrary to Mr. Culp, we believe you should not check the auto upload configuration. Scott can correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe that means whenever you click the output to lights button, it will refresh your upload configuration, in which case what you thought you had there may be overwritten with what you may have been working on and didn't realize. All of a sudden you've uploaded the configuration and it's probably involves a reboot maybe or a restart of FPPD. So it takes that extra couple of moments for it to get back and ready for output to lights. So by leaving that turned off, you won't have to worry about that extra push of the configuration, and you have to take care of the uploads yourself with upload output or tools at PP Connect. And Ron was who's somebody.
Yeah, I was just going to say one other thing we've seen with that auto upload configuration, specifically if you're FPP remote. Sometimes when you test from Xlights or output lights, it will set it to player mode and will not set it back to remote mode. So if you had a FPP remote and you have that auto upload, it may continue to set it back to player every time you output from Xlights.
Right.
Just another thing that may be fixed. It was reported, but last time I checked it, that was still happening as well.
Again, there's probably no 100% rule here, but for FPP based devices, normally 9 times out of 10, 8 times out of 10, we want Xlights only. If you have any questions about setting that, come on in the Zoom room. We'll take a look and see if it's appropriate. But for FPP based devices, normally you want this to be set to Xlights only. I'm sure there are lots of exceptions, but that's just a good rule of thumb there. Discover tab. I think we heard this earlier today. Discover tab. No, don't use it. Just ignore it. Pretend it's not there. It's just going to mess you up and include things that you don't want to do. Go ahead and use the proper add Ethernets or add USBs. Don't use that Discover tab at all. As a side note, if you have a Pi that is only your show player, do not include it in the list. This is a list of controllers, not just show players. So if it's not controlling pixels, it's not controlling a virtual matrix or a panel, don't include it on the controllers tab. Jumping back, imports from importing sequences. Import from the zip file. That's probably something new to people. Every video you're going to see is going to say, oh, you should unzip it, jump into their show folder, load the sequence, render it, save it, then do an import. That's like so 2020. 2022, you want to leave it in a zip file, load it from the zip file. if you need to look at their sequence, maybe look for a YouTube video. That's probably the easiest way. But if you pull it from the zip file, it's going to handle your shaders, it's going to handle your images, it's going to handle your videos. All the pathing will be good to go. You don't have extra files all over your hard drive. It's nice and compact. You just leave it there, and it's like a win-win that way. So just gonna leave that there, and that's my rant on imports. Mine's not going to take very long, but if I do a render all, a green bar shows down here at the bottom. You can double click it and it will show it. There we go. It'll show you what it's rendering, what's taking forever. There's not much you can do about it, unfortunately, but at least it's eye candy while it's rendering. You can see that it's actually doing something. It's you know,
if you hover over the green bar, it'll show you what effect is rendering.
It's showing you what effect, right? So I guess that could be helpful. Let me see if I can do it again. It's probably too fast now, but you're going to see the effect of this thing. So maybe you can say, what is that effect? Is there anything I can do to improve that effect, I suppose? Maybe that's a little too advanced. I know it'd probably be advanced for me. So singing bulb, something I'm starting to do this year. I think I saw this from Jackie. If I have normally when people create a singing bulb, they have one face for it, like this kind of bulb, but you just have one face where you can choose the colors. A note that you can create it with 3 colors, but you can add a face outline too, and I'll show you that, which allows you to color the socket. I mean, that was something we were all doing last year. We were all jumping on that. Just by changing the layout, you can add that 4th color to your bulb. But I wanted to highlight another way of doing things is you can actually create a new, and I don't have it here, unfortunately. We go to the layout, go to the bulb. I had it in my own display. I didn't have it here. Under faces, there we go. Here's my chroma bulb. So this outline 2 is the socket, and this is the bulb. So a lot of people would have everything under the face outline. They'd have the outline of the bulb and the socket all together. What you need to do is separate the 2, and then you can use the 4th color to define the face outline too. A new feature, not a new feature, but another interesting thing is to use force colors. So if I'm wanting to use blue all the time, I'm going to say cancel there. I'm going to click that. I'm going to copy my chroma bulb. I'm going to call this a blue bulb. Click OK. And I'm going to force the colors on the blue one, and I'm going to make the bulb blue. I'm going to make the outline gray. And that's all I'm going to do, just those 2 things, because I want the mouth, I want the mouth to be dynamic, because maybe I'm going to change that on every sequence. So now I come here, make him a blue bulb. Was I on the wrong one? Let me move it down. I think it was blue bulb. Here we go. Yeah, it is. So there I've got the blue and the gray already pre-chosen for me. And then the face colors I can change with, I don't know, they're all forced. Okay, that's fine. That means they'll just use whatever I chose here. So everything is forced. So if I know I always want to have blue and gray there, and then all of these guys will be white, or I suppose I can probably change each of these to be, I don't know, light red or something like that. So you can preset your colors. You got a quick combination that you use for all your bulbs. Outline 2 for the socket, I already mentioned that. We ran into this this past week. Somebody has a whole house or any of these bigger groups. Do not include the face. You can see how everything is included in my everything group. Don't include the face portion in your groups. This way, when you have a face effect, it's not going to get overwritten by your everything group, or it's not going to light up the face you say you have a red color wash. The whole face would turn up red, and then you have trying to put a face effect on it. You're going to get red extraneous pixels lit up. It's going to look silly. You're going to wonder what's going on. So just a tip there to not include the face in your group. To do that, I'll just scroll down here. You can see how I just included the bulb and socket, bulb and socket. I don't include the actual bulb, the whole model itself. Tools and test. If you're trying to find a problem with your pixels, go in tools and tests. controller is a kind of a cool new way of doing things. You can click on any prop or on any controller. You can actually light up an entire port one at a time. You go through each port. You can expand it out, and you can light up individual props on that port. Good way to find out if you've got the ports mixed up, if you plug the wrong wires into the wrong place. Here's your way to do it. This is assuming you've pushed the configuration and you've pushed the FPP Connect. So remember, when you make any changes to a controller, you want to go to controllers, you want to save it, you want to upload your outputs, tools, FPP Connect. So remember that one. Yeah, visualizer, close, save, and push FPP Connect. And one last tip, and I'm done. And that was strings. When you're coming onto a mega tree, let me go down here to mega tree. Hey, mega tree. Something we see a lot of. People think, let me go to the other one. People think that the number of strings is how many lines I want to connect to it. Even though the tooltip there says it's the number of port controllers, people automatically think that it's the number of strings, meaning the number of lines up and down your tree. It's not. It's the number of ports, and it gets a little tricky to figure out. Again, if you have any questions, come on back to the Zoom room. The guys will help you out. And that's my 30 minutes and 30 tips. There you go. I'm going to pause. And any questions?
Looks like 30 tips in 28 minutes.
Yep.
27
Excellent
in
job.
10. Nice. Good job.
Excellent job.
Good job, Daryl.
I think
One
I got
other
it.
advanced topic when on the bulb faces and all that, you can also, if you had defined states, you can use a state for an outline, and that way you can have a variety instead of doing forced custom colors.
Yeah, where's that? Is that here? Yeah, here.
On the
States.
face effect in
On the face effect.
So if you had
here.
states available, see how you can use state as an outline. Let me right here. Boom. So if you had states identified or created in your model, you could use a state as an outline.
Any other tips for anybody else? Feel free to jump in.
Yeah, you missed a couple things on bulk edit. Obviously, there's more than one way to skin a cat, but if you were to click on, let's see, that face effect that you have right there,
yep,
and hit Control A, it's going to highlight everything in your layout, but you can only bulk edit the face over here. So if you need to change something on every face effect, you would right click and bulk edit.
And for some reason I can't, why can't I do that? What am I doing? Oh, is it because there's only one face?
It might be, yeah.
Let me do a row.
I know you had more than one bulb.
Copy.
But
that's exactly what it is.
Row paste. Let me paste one in here. Again, I think I mentioned that you got to have more than one for bulk edit to kick in. So there's, okay, I'm just going to click on what Mark was saying. Click on one, Control A. Now I know there's two faces there. Can I right click? Oh, guys, come on. Oh, there it is.
Yeah, it got broke.
Oh, you can't do it on the face definition, but you can do it on the eyes.
Sure you can.
I think on the face definitions because you have different definitions for your two faces.
Yeah, yeah. There, it's not. It's like
bulk
it's like
editing
two
on
different
it, not on the
props,
drop,
right?
not on the drop down, but on the actual face definition, you should be able to right click bulk. Not on the drop down. Right there you go.
Nope, nope.
You're not.
Because it's unique to each model.
It is unique to each model. But the other thing you can do is and something you actually taught me, Daryl, was it Tools, Windows, Select Effects.
Tools.
Or Edit Windows, sorry.
View
Or
window.
View, yeah.
Windows.
Select
The
Effects.
Select effect window.
Yeah. So if there's a specific effect that you want to change everything on, then in this window you can do that. You choose the effect.
So I choose the faces.
Yep, and then we choose every. Yeah, you can hit Select All, which would
move that over here so people can see it. Select all. Yep. Then select all again, probably.
Yep. And then you can.
Now I can come over here. Yep. Now I can come over and bulk edit and make it auto. One thing that we've been running through a little bit recently, and I had it in my list here, the last one. If you have a prop and it's lighting up something on your screen and you don't know, oh, my front yard is lit up and I can't figure out what's causing it. You go on, you double click the strand, you can see it here. Now the trick here is this will not work. Normally you'd right click, find possible source effects, but there's a caveat. You have to be in the master view. Now if I come here, right click, find possible source effects, it tells you it's turning red because of the front yard right model, or it could be a group. It's the layer 1 and it's a butterfly effect. So you can figure out what is making that pixel light up. What effect is making that pixel light up based on this find effects.
Daryl, you
There's-
want to go over the select all effects in the timing track too, or in the
Select all
faces?
effects.
So go up to your timing track, your demo track on the on the top there.
Okay, let me clear a few windows. Move this over. Say again.
So on the demo track that you have up there, if you right click
Yep.
on that, you can do select all timing marks like you can for select all effects. That's relatively new. So if you wanted to like
Select all timing marks. Where do you
Yep.
see that?
that's
I'm
right
blind.
below down right
just
there.
Just select timing marks. Okay.
Select
All right.
timing marks, and that basically selects all the timing marks you have in there. So if something's slightly off compared to the
Okay.
song, you can do shift effects on that too.
All right. And that's under edit, probably shift selected effects.
Yep.
This is in milliseconds, so it's hundredths of a second. So 1,000, I believe, if I'm right, would shift it over 1 full second. If I'm right, there it is. It moves over 1 full second. So if you find that your music is starting way over here and you need to move all your effects over by a certain time, you can say it starts here. Just I'm going to click, drag back, say, oh, it's off by 5.05 seconds. I'm going to go edit, shift selected effects, and I'm going to go 5050 seconds. And it will move it over 5050 seconds. Like it's
You can just hit the arrow keys too, but it does it 1 frame at a time. So it's very slow.
very slow. Shift does something weird, doesn't it? Like, is it jump it or control? Is it control doing it like 10 at a time, maybe? I'm not sure. Hidden tricks. Anybody else that has any tips? And like, we're going into overtime now, so. All right, I'm going to stop share. Orlean wanted to.
Well, before you do,
Yeah.
someone asked about XMap hints. Can you share something about that?
I can't really show you anything on that. It's a beta thing that
I'm
Keith
ready
put
to
out.
do.
What, XMap hints?
Yeah, I could take 2 seconds if you want after
Sure.
Orlin shows his.
Sure, you
things.
can. I mean, it was a
No,
beta thing
that's-
that Keith put out. I'm not sure if too many people, have taken it on, but yeah, go ahead. I'm going to stop my share.
Orlin, go ahead and show your painted props. and then we can do it.
What I was going to show is just filler information. This is much more important. You go.
Okay, 1 second. Let me show. Okay, so can you see my screen?
Yep.
Okay, so obviously we know how to import, right? So we could go into the sequencer, import effects, choose obviously choose a a zip file like Daryl was saying, and you're going to bring it in and you get this nice interface now with icons and everything. And if you click on auto map, what it's going to do, it's going to find exactly props that are in the source sequence and exactly name matching to match to what you have. You could also load a load mapping file that you created for each one of the vendors. But what was introduced a little while ago, and it was fixed in 16, or some additional options in 16, is you could actually create your own mapping that it's a general mapping for all of your sequences. So for example, in here, when I have something applied in here, is that if it comes from all house, so the remote it's all house or all display, all house decorations, I'm going to map it to different names that I have in here. So for example, all roof in here, I'm mapping it to either roof or icicles. And what's really nice in here is that now actually with the latest edition, I could map an entire prop down to a submodel. So and you could keep adding this, and it doesn't have to be for a specific. I called it PPD in here because I started playing with that. It doesn't have to be. My plan is to be one file for everything. So now if I come in here and it disappear on me, which is not very nice. Where'd you go? There you go. Right. If I click on auto map now, it's going to use this information now, and actually going to do a much more elaborate mapping based on all of the different names that I have, the different mappings that I want to create, one to many as well. So it's right. So you could see in here that it took all house decorations and put it to all house decor and column matrices to columns. So if I have a different sequence vendor that I get, and they call them column, and I'm calling mine columns. Actually, that would have mapped before, but it's a way of doing that. And now what I really like is that I could come in now and I have the showstopper snowflake, and I could take a model and map it to a submodel in that. And just simply maintaining one master file in here for all the vendor sequences that you buy, it will make it very easy to just automatically map. You don't have to think about, what did I map when I do PPD? Even if you save it, right? I've done that before. I have so many places where I get sequences, and I have 17 different mapping files. So this is really cool. All in one place, gives you the ability to use regex and map it any which way you want.
A lot of times I hear the question, why don't you just use the mapping file, right? To me, the reason to use this is just using PPD as an example. Their layout has changed multiple times over the years. You don't know which mapping hint to use. So this will account for that every single time once you do it up front.
Exactly. Yep. And as they add new things, exactly. Yep. And it's all in one place. Yep.
Could probably do a whole class on that, just on that topic.
I think Paul offered to do.
Orlean, you want a quick demo? If whoever's recording for the thing, do you want to end that now, and so we don't make like a 2-hour long gem? And then we'll just continue on, because I think we got
Certainly,
lots of
I'll go
stuff
ahead
to
and
talk about.
stop.
Thanks.